Hey friends, and welcome to the Mom Sweat Sanity podcast. I'm Brittany, accountability coach for women who know they're made for more. This is a space where ambition meets real life, where we talk fitness, family, personal growth, leadership, and all the what the hell is happening right now moments in between. Around here, we don't chase perfection. We build momentum. We push comfort zones, ask better questions, and take real action on the goals that matter most. Each week, you'll hear honest conversations, powerful guests, and grounded reminders that you don't have to choose between showing up for your life and going after your potential. So whether you're walking, sweating, driving, or hiding in your car for 5 quiet minutes, you're in the right place. This is your permission to stop playing small in your own life. Let's get into it. Okay, well, welcome to Kelsey. You have probably heard me on her podcast. She's been within the Momentum Collective, giving an amazing teach back. And today we are here for her turn on my podcast because I am genuinely so excited to learn where you are now, where you've come from, what kind of led you down this path. So I'd love to just kind of start in the beginning. I see that you've spent over 15 years in marketing, which included the corporate kind of work tied to a company that later sold for 9 figures. Wow. What originally pulled you into marketing in the first place? When did you realize you were good at it?
Yeah, such a good question. So, kind of to rewind back to when I was in university, I actually studied human resources. And I remember getting to the end of my program being like, oh my gosh, all of my colleagues are going to get jobs, sit in a desk all day, work these 40-hour-a-week structured jobs. And they were all excited. And I remember being like, oh my God, I can't do it. And so I ended up going traveling for a couple of years and just finding myself, quote unquote. And when I came back, I decided to enroll in a brand new program at the Canadian School of Natural Nutrition. So decided I wanted to become a holistic nutritionist. And I just loved that program. It was so fun. It felt like it was right up my alley. But it was actually in the building of my nutrition practice that I realized I was having so much fun with the online marketing piece, building my website, building my social media strategy, coming up with all the online funnels. And a lot of my fellow graduates from school were coming to me being like, Kels, can you help me? Can you help me build an email list? And so I kind of just like saw that maybe my services were needed elsewhere, but I didn't have any formal marketing training. So I would take on these side projects. And I also decided I need to like figure out how to become a good marketer. And so I ended up applying to some jobs around Toronto. And that's when I got my first real job, I would say, as an experiential marketing manager for a really big health food company here in Canada. And so I got to drive around Ontario and set up these pop-up tents and sample products and stand at the finish line of races and hire teams of demo reps. And it didn't feel like marketing. I just felt like I was living this dream where I got to share a really good product with people. And then they would walk away and spend hundreds of dollars that they weren't expecting to spend. And it was just so much. So that kind of kicked off my whole journey into marketing. And it's evolved in so many ways and has taken many different shapes and forms. But that was kind of the origin of how I got into it.
I love that. I feel like we'll go into this, but how entrepreneurship kind of reflects all of that at the same time, right? Because now being your own leader, your own boss, all of the things you have to figure out, as we were saying, my Riverside is glitchy, right? You have to figure out some of the back ends. You have to figure out what works on social to market and all these kinds of things. So now you're really being able to flex those muscles from all the way through.
Exactly. And I feel like that is such a reminder that at every stage, at every season, being that person who can just say, I'll figure it out. What is the thing that I can try to move this forward is so important. And I think that's just developing a muscle of resiliency and I got this and having the right attitude to trudge through anything that's thrown our way.
Gosh, I totally agree. I'm going to skip ahead to one question because you kind of hit on that.
Yeah.
Motherhood in that context, because, you know, I think that we're thrown into motherhood in the sense that you don't know what's coming. Like this is new to us every single day. Now you're a mom building a very successful business because nearly a decade in corporate you left.
Mm-hmm.
How did motherhood change the way that you're approaching work?
Such a good question, because I've built the majority of my business without being a mom. So, for context, I didn't have my first baby until, and I only have one right now, but I was 34. So, from my mid 20s until my mid 30s, basically, I was building my consulting business with all of the time, all of the energy, all of the freedom. And I worked a lot. And I'm really grateful for those years of setting up a solid foundation. But it was actually wild 2 years ago when I gave birth to my son. I remember the 9 months leading up to giving birth to him, thinking, okay, like I need to prepare my business for mat leave. And I tried to find podcasts or books or mentors to really help me like get things into place. But it's like there was nothing that quite met my needs of like hiring someone. And I just got this download of like, I'm just going to have to figure this out. Like in real time, you can prepare a little bit, but I also felt like I'm just going to have to see what the first year of motherhood brings. So, wow, what changed? Oh my gosh, everything. I would say,
Loaded question.
one of the biggest things that I'm nostalgic for, and I don't know if you had this too, but being an entrepreneur who goes very, very fast and moves quickly through the world and makes decisions and is always measuring our worth based on productivity, I found that having my son and being forced to slow down actually really gave me a lot of perspective. Like I would sit in a chair feeding him and I would think, and I felt like I got back in touch with my creativity and I was able to pull away from the business. And, when I had those moments of clarity and I wasn't exhausted, I would kind of like just think back to like all the busyness that filled my time the last decade and really just evaluate like what comes with me into the future and what stays in the past as the non-mama version of Kelsey, the business owner. So that was kind of one of the huge epiphanies for me, is just having perspective and being forced to slow down for the first time in my life.
I love that you say that. I want to just say something because the force to slow down. We are forced to slow down in those, ages and stages. It is something now that I'm so far past that stage because my youngest is 14 and my oldest is almost 18.
Yeah.
I miss that stage.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe not. I don't miss the baby stage in that.
Yep.
But I miss the almost allowing yourself the permission to slow down. And we pass over so much of that so quickly. And also, how do we make that happen in our everyday life going forward?
That's it. Oh my gosh. I've been thinking about this nonstop, Britt. Like, because I literally yearn for those, let's say, those early days of having a newborn who sleeps a lot. And the month before I gave birth, I didn't know when I'd go into labor, right? So I remember finishing work on December 1st and I had cleared my calendar and I didn't know would I be 2 weeks early or 2 weeks late. And he didn't come till the end of the month. And those 25 days in December, having a clear calendar, not saying yes to things or like planning to travel to a work conference or taking on clients, like I had none of that. And so I keep thinking back to that was the most creative and slow and just like intentional I feel like I've moved through my life in a long time. And then, as he got to 6 months, I went back to work. I got busier. And so exactly like you said, my question right now is like, how do I get back? Of course, maybe having another baby. But aside from that, you're probably not having more kids at this point. So it's like, how do we get that same outcome of the beautiful theta waves of thinking and dreaming and visioning and having space and time when we have busy lives? And I don't know the answer, but it's a big question that I've been asking myself because I still remember that peace that I felt as an entrepreneur, just having a bit more space in my calendar.
Okay, quick pause because this is one of those things I genuinely love. February always makes me want to lean into comfort a little bit more. Slower mornings, earlier nights, cozy, everything, and Cozy Earth has fully become part of that in our house. First of all, their pajamas. I can't even explain them properly except to say it feels like you're wearing nothing at all. They're so soft, lightweight, cozy, not restrictive, not overheating. I literally live in them at night and honestly half the morning too. And we are a huge blanket family, like year round, always wrapped in something. The classic cuddle blanket basically lives on our couch. It's plush, has that comfort without being too heavy, and the second you grab it, you just want to stay put. What I love most about Cozy Earth is how they make everyday moments at home feel more intentional. Better sleep, more comfort, those small things that actually help you slow down and feel taken care of. It's risk-free, which matters. They offer a 100-night sleep trial, and everything is backed by a 10-year warranty, which tells you a lot about the quality. If you're wanting to show a little extra love this month to yourself or someone you care about, head to cozyearth.com and use my code MOMENTUM for up to 20% off. And if you get a post-purchase survey, make sure you mention you heard about Cozy Earth right here. All right, back to it.
hmm I think it comes with kind of two folds because it is hard for us parents, us moms to really clear schedules all the time, but allowing ourselves the permission to pause, sometimes that's
Yeah.
just half of it, and not feeling guilty or feeling shame for saying no, or, not picking up the phone again or answering that email or whatever it is. And also actually making time throughout the year, whether you're able to do a weekend away, whether you're able to, affording yourself those, they're not selfish. And as you said, when we slow down, when we're able to have that time and capacity, we're able to be creative again. We're
Yes.
able to get so in tune with ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're right. It's about making it an intentional practice where you carve out the day, the half day, the weekend to say, yeah, life isn't going to slow down on its own, but I am going to remove myself or really protect this little time block and not fill it with, running errands, getting groceries, needing to prep soup for dinner, and having something that is like sacred time.
And all you moms listening, we know it's easier said than done.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, and how am I going to actually commit to this? But yeah, I think it's like, how important is it to you in this season of life to reconnect with yourself, your vision? And if that's a 10 out of 10 important, then you've got to carve it out.
Yeah. So let's go into your business now as it is. You left the corporate world and you really have provided yourself this amazing niche. And so can you tell us a little bit about your business? And I know that you're very clear on, you don't buy overnight success. So I'd love to know kind of what your marketing model is and what your drive behind your business is.
Yeah. So today my business is quite simple. I used to have a business where I sold courses and I did group programs, and I was doing a lot of workshops and speaking and promoting events and doing consulting. And even just saying that list, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's tiring. And about 5 years ago, I decided to simplify. And I'm like, what am I really good at? And where do I see the most demand? And that was in one-on-one consulting, where people come to me with a marketing challenge. They don't have a funnel. They're not converting. They don't have enough clients. And I help them figure it out, implement strategies, and then make sure that they're working and then send them on their way. And so that is the business that I have today. I sell one thing, which is one-on-one consulting, and I don't bend over backwards to do different things for every single client anymore. So worked really hard to simplify the business, which I'm really grateful for, because I think in this day and age, it's easy to be distracted and to want to always launch something new and to have that shiny object syndrome that I think so many entrepreneurs, we're dreamers, we're visionaries. Of course, we want new all of the time, but sometimes a simple business model can actually be a really great way to scale without stressing yourself out and becoming kind of overwhelmed, I would say, is what a lot of business owners tell me that they are. So, that's what I focus on today. And that work really lights me up. I love chatting about marketing, and I find that, people need support with it. So there's a lot of market demand there as well. But in addition to that, I am also a creative and a creator. And even though I feel sometimes when I'm sleep deprived and I'm in a season of life where the business is so systematized that my creativity can be a little squashed. It's such a blessing to be a creator and have an Instagram, have a podcast, have an email newsletter, have community events that I run, because it really taps into that side of me that wants to create and build community and be part of beautiful spaces and places and have conversations that are just slightly outside of the consulting work that I do. So I would say today I have the consulting business and also building what I guess would be called a personal brand and being a content creator, but doing it in a way where, the goal is not necessarily monetization, but impact and giving back to people and sharing my journey, because that's what I love consuming from other people. It's like, how is motherhood and entrepreneurship going? How are you taking care of your health? What do you eat on a daily basis when you're so busy? How do you simplify your life and buy your time back? So I love adding to that conversation because it's topics that are super important to me outside of digital marketing.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you hit on the personal brand, because we hire people, right? It's not the business that we're hiring. And so how do you earn that like, know, and trust factor? And that is, our social media. I say these days, like, I feel like our Instagram is kind of the new website, right? People are going there first to really learn you, and then they'll go to your website to see the services that you offer.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so cool that in this day and age, we have these free tools where we can build community, connect with new people. You and I met through the online world, right? And so I think, as overwhelming as it can be to have to create and post content and build an email newsletter and do all the things, it's also the greatest gift, especially for mama entrepreneurs looking to connect, plug into business communities, learn and grow themselves. And so I try to always change my mindset of like, Instagram is such a waste of time, to who can I connect with today? Oh my gosh, who can I have like a deep conversation with? Because I'm feeling very surface in my current life with the conversations I'm having. So those opportunities are everywhere for us. And I love that the internet affords us that.
The social back to it. I like that.
Yes.
So, what do you think has been lost then in online businesses over the last few years?
Well, that's such a good question. And it's definitely timely now, especially as we start to use AI more and we start to build out these businesses that don't even really need human touch in order to run. So I would say the biggest thing for me, I always think back to my days working in experiential marketing. And what we were really doing is we were creating experiences where somebody could try a product or interact with the brand in a very genuine way, right? It wasn't sleazy. It wasn't somebody sending you a cold DM being like, hey, Britt, I see you have a YouTube channel. Like, let me get you 10,000 leads and impressions and grow your. And it's like, wait, that feels so different than somebody being like, hey, would you like a sample of this green drink, and handing you a cup and waving you in a tent, and then them asking, do you have any health goals right now? Oh my gosh, you're running a marathon? So cool. Well, let me tell you about this product that's going to help you train faster and become better and hit your personal best. And so my origins in marketing really showed me that marketing is not selling, right? Marketing is giving people a chance to learn about your products and services, and then they can make an informed decision of whether they want to buy it or not. And yeah, we can talk about like how to become a better salesperson and encourage them to buy. But marketing is about the visibility. It's like, are you giving people a chance to get in touch with you, interact with you, learn from you? Are you creating content that's valuable for them? Are you hosting events where they can come meet you and see that you're so passionate about marketing or about building community? And to me, that's kind of what's been lost, is that people think marketing is like this quick throw up an Instagram post and become an overnight millionaire, where really it's about having genuine conversations and assessing whether somebody has a problem that you can solve. And that comes over time and talking to them and asking them questions.
So when someone comes to work with you, what are you really doing differently than do you think is your approach than other business or marketing coaches?
Yeah, absolutely. I love bringing that experiential element into my client strategies. So, say I'm working with like an NLP practitioner, neuro linguistic programming, and they're talking in a whole different language and nobody's buying because people don't really know what NLP is and how that helps them. It's like, okay, well, you work mostly with busy moms who are also entrepreneurs who are super overwhelmed with how to manage their business. So instead of convincing them to buy NLP, why don't you host like a bi-weekly workshop and host a podcast that talks about like, top challenges that mama entrepreneurs face, or 3 mindset shifts that give moms 10 hours a week back in their time so that they can run their business. Capture them with something that's appealing to them, and then show them that NLP is the answer, the thing that is missing to get them from where they are now to where they want to be, of having more time or energy or money. Because the moment somebody has an experience with you, they don't forget, especially if it's a good experience, right? If it's a negative, like if you're going around Costco and you try a chocolate bar, but you're like, I hate it. You're like, bad experience, I'm not buying. But usually you're going around Costco, you try the chocolate bar and you're like, oh, that's good. I'm going to buy the whole box. And so you go from trial or experience to I'm a convert. And then next time you go back, you buy more and more. And all of a sudden you've spent $800 with the brand. So it goes the same for businesses like you and me. It's like, how can we create these micro experiences where somebody tries us out, even though they might not know what accountability coaching is, they might not know what marketing consulting can do for them. But the moment they come to my training on why your Instagram doesn't convert and what to do about it, they're like, I see what I'm doing wrong. Now I'll hire Kelsey because I see that she has some answers for me. So yeah, I would say that's what I feel has been lost, is like genuinely creating these experiences and wanting to help people for free before you ask them for a ton of money.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like it just gives you more. It just gives you more, right? When you're willing to give things away for free, quote,
Mhm.
then people come back wondering like, oh, wow, like I just got all of that content for free. I wonder what more. She obviously has so much more to offer if there is this that she's just,
Totally.
allowing us to have. And it really gives, I guess, almost a reference to yourself at the same time.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And so I think the easiest thing that someone can do if they're like, my business is kind of stunted, or I just want like to be in a season of growth right now, it's what experience can you create and maybe deliver as early as tomorrow that will give people a bit of a test drive or a sample of what you do.
So, what does sustainable data-driven marketing look like with working with you in real life?
Getting into the boring stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I
nobody
like
likes
numbers though.
chatting.
I'm like, how does that back end work?
Yeah. Nobody really loves chatting about data, but I just think it's so important, especially as mama entrepreneurs, that we're not wasting time on all the wrong things
Mm-hmm.
and feeling like we have to work in the evenings, work in the mornings because we didn't get done what we thought we wanted to do during the day. And then, we're always feeling like we have to do more. So when it comes to marketing, first, it's important to know like how many hours a week do you have? Like if I were to look at your calendar, Britt, and you're like, okay, so I work 4 days a week or 2 days a week or whatever, and you're like, and I have clients 50% of the time. I have to do admin work and tax stuff a couple hours a week. And then you basically show me I have this open 3-hour block on Mondays and I have an open 3-hour block on Wednesdays. Now we have realized you have 6 hours per week for marketing related tasks. And so what we can actually do is figure out like, well, what do you have in your funnel right now? Maybe it's Instagram, a podcast, and an email newsletter, and then you book discovery calls. So we're like, okay, those are the things we're going to focus on. Do they each fit in the time block to record the podcast, write the email, post on Instagram 3 times a day, and ultimately invite people to book calls with you in those time slots? And then we actually measure like, what is the success of these? So Is your Instagram growing? How many DMs did you get? How many non-followers are you reaching? How many podcast downloads? How many conversions from your ad reads did you get? How many discovery calls off the ad reads, etc. So really anything that has a number attached to it that will show us, is this strategy helping you to sign more clients or make more money? We track it and then we improve it each month.
I think it's just like, we all need to know these types of metrics and numbers because it's the best, it is data, right? But it's the best way to get to the next level faster when you know what's actually working for you. That's why we, borrow other people's audiences, put ourselves in new rooms. It's kind of the number side of that, I feel.
Yeah. And for some reason, like a lot of business owners, I don't want to say particularly women, but oftentimes my clients are women, they don't track a single piece of data. They might look at their revenue, but it's like there's so many answers hidden in the numbers of, hey, you've been posting on Instagram for 8 years and you've never signed a client off of Instagram or never booked a discovery call. But your podcast is constantly generating leads and money, and we can see in the numbers. So like, why not go up to 2 episodes a week or increase discoverability of the podcast? So yeah, I just think it's so important because it helps us to save our time, because we can get rid of things that aren't performing or that aren't leading to our bigger business goals.
So then would this be how you help clients choose like what strategy actually works for them? You mentioned podcasting, speaking, the coaching, Instagram, if that's even, is that kind of the data is what is going to lead to it?
Yes. And I feel like we are human beings. And if we are solopreneurs or running a team by ourselves with maybe a virtual assistant, there has to be a level of enjoyment there for most people. Some people are more robotic and can just do things despite liking it or not. But even if your podcast was performing, but you came to me week after week and just said, I just dread it. I really hate recording. I don't want to be on camera. I feel like it's zapping my creativity. And, it's like the worst part of my week. And a lot of people actually say this to me about Instagram. Then I'm like, okay, well, why don't we figure out, can we slowly wean you off the platform and figure out other ways to generate leads? So I do think it's a balance between, the data, yes, but also a bit of a qualitative check on, are you feeling inspired? Are you creative here? Is it bringing you joy? Because if you're showing up to every interview just resenting, having to talk to someone, it'll probably start to translate and your audience will feel that. And then the numbers will ultimately go down. So yeah, it's a bit of a qualitative, quantitative hybrid.
Yeah, I actually just saw someone ask this question that they were just starting, they just recently started the podcast, right? And they weren't loving it. And when do you know, like, when do you push through? And I feel like, I don't know, for me, I never didn't love it, but I wasn't consistent with it for a long time. And then when I kind of flipped that into, I just want to make sure I'm enjoying the conversations that I have, and I have a choice for who comes on my platform. And so how do I make sure I'm showing up for who's listening here? Because I'm bringing them me and the other people that will bring them value, right? So I think maybe podcasting isn't for you. It's not for everyone. Like everything isn't for everyone, right? And that's okay too. I feel like maybe the sooner you realize that, the better.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think you bring up something really important, is just to like allow yourself the ability to make it into something you love. So if you're like, yeah, I'm kind of liking this, but like everyone's telling me I have to do these very rigid interviews and solo episodes, but I kind of want to do it this other way. Like lean into that, right? Because the worst thing we can do in marketing is copycat someone else's strategy. The best thing we can do is like look at what's available to us and be like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to dance on Instagram every day and teach about marketing, or, whatever. Pair what you're good at and what makes you happy with what you have to do to get your message out there. Because that's usually the sweet spot of actually garnering attention. And so I think, if you can lean into what makes you quirky and infuse that into your strategy, you're going to have a winning strategy.
So you've helped 400 plus businesses build real revenue. What do your most successful clients have in common?
Well, I can say with certainty that a mindset of experimentation is probably the most important thing. Because going back to what I was sharing about, just needing to have that ability to be like, I'm going to try this thing, but if I don't like it or if it doesn't perform data wise, it's okay to call it an experiment, shut it down, and try something new. Not call it a failure and shut the business down, right? Because just because you may start your strategy with like, okay, I'm going to have ads running to an email sequence, running to an online course. If that fails, it doesn't mean you're a failure. It doesn't mean the business idea is bad. It just means that that experiment maybe didn't work the way we thought it would. But perhaps by you showing up at events, starting to get speaking gigs, you sell thousands of dollars of your course from stage. It's really about keeping that mindset of experimentation and knowing that, you'll never have a strategy that is perfect because attention is changing. The way people consume content is changing. You are changing, right? For me, becoming a mom, like there are so many things that I had to do differently because I didn't want to be showing up and sharing like my son all day and just like giving my time to events that I had to drive 3 hours to get to. I was changing as a human. So I had to look at my strategy and go, okay, that worked for last season. Now what's going to come with me into the next season of my entrepreneurial journey? So I would say mindset of experimentation, and nothing's a failure. It's just data on what you could do better or what you need to evolve into.
Yes, I say fail forward, right? Like we always
Yeah.
learn from quote failures, and I don't think anything really is a failure because that has now made us more aware or stronger or in what we're now doing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's something that you have to constantly remind yourself of because in every season of motherhood or business, or, even if you sign up for like a race or a bike ride or something, might not go the way you want it to, but does that mean it was a failure? Because in my mind, like all of these things are building your character, giving you stories to tell, making your life less boring. And so that is not a failure. There's probably a teachable lesson and you can spin it into something that's going to make you become a better human.
Absolutely. Okay, so you've mentioned bike ride a few times too. So I want to talk about sport. So has sport or
Mhm.
biking or always been a part of you? And what is the biking? Is it mountain biking? Are you a road rider?
It is such an important part of who I am and how I run my business and who I am as a mother. So I would say like going way, way, way back, I remember moving to Toronto, which is a huge city, obviously, and feeling like, oh my gosh, I have to find my community. And I loved fitness. So I just walked into every spin gym that I could find and applied for jobs to teach and to sit at the front desk. This is about 20, maybe 15, 20 years ago. And I got accepted at a couple studios and I started teaching spin classes. And I kind of got addicted to being on an indoor bike. And so that kickstarted my journey. And I found so many of my best friends and my people and my creative outlet. And that eventually evolved into one of my spin class attendees saying, hey, do you ever ride an outdoor bike? And I was like I didn't even think about that. And she kind of giggled at me and she's like, come on, we're going to the bike shop. Like, let's buy you something. So I kind of ended up buying my first road bike on a whim. And the moment I got out with her for the first time, I just remember feeling that immense sense of freedom and just exploration. And I feel like this is such a metaphor for entrepreneurship of just like anything is possible. And I noticed that on the days that I went for a morning bike ride, we would always end with a cute coffee shop downtown Toronto. I just would have the best day ever. And I also realized that when you take care of your health as an entrepreneur, you become unstoppable. If you have hobbies, you're plugging into an activity that truly fills your cup, you're going to sit down at your desk and be able to create from such a different space and energy. And so every day that we would meet up, we would do a 6 a.m. ride around the city, go for coffee. A lot of them were entrepreneurs, had businesses, were CEOs, and we would just chat. And I just had this like success formula that I was like, every day should start like this and everybody should start their day like this. And of course, that turned into racing. And exploring other modalities. Today, I mostly focus on mountain biking, which is like really technical, having to solve problems as you're climbing up a really rooty or rocky hill climb. And sometimes it's hard. And sometimes I cry during rides because I'm tired. My legs aren't working. My friends are faster than me. I am down on myself because like I can't get up a hill. And again, metaphors for business. It's like not every ride is great. Not every day in business is great, but you always get back after a ride. And I'm sure you feel this way too. And you're just so glad you went, even if you suffered, even if it was hard, because you're just like proving to yourself that you can do hard things. Hard things are not going to kill you. It's okay to work to the point where you're uncomfortable and you know that that makes you better, right? It's going to expand your capacity to uptake oxygen. And so, yeah, I just
think
feel like
business and life, both, right? Like just the metaphors of it.
totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, I mean, I could go on forever about it, but I just feel like having that has just rooted me as an entrepreneur and a mother.
Yeah, moving our bodies, pushing yourself to places you never thought you could push yourself to truly teach you more about yourself than you will ever, I personally think, ever experience in any other realm, because the athletic side of things is something that you could just quit. But it's a mind over matter game. And are you a quitter in that sense, right? If you're going up that mountain, whether you get off your bike and you push it or you ride it to the top, you're getting there, right? And so, but if you quit, how are you going to feel about yourself afterwards? And I think that, yeah, races, pushing our bodies in whatever capacity it is, it really teaches us a whole new level of who we are.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, the racing portion too, like whether you're doing a race for fun or doing it to like try and win or get on the podium, it's also a great reminder of that when we sign up for a big event or we commit to something in the calendar, we generally follow through, and it kind of comes with us every day. We're like, okay, I should train today. I should train today. Did I train? Did I eat healthy? Am I watching, my sugar intake? Because that's not going to be good for the race. Same goes for business. And I think a lot of us forget to set these like ongoing business goals. And we kind of just wake up and we're like, what am I going to work on today? It's like, well, instead, maybe for Instagram, you're like, I want to do an Instagram live every day for 30 days so that at the end of it, I basically have a book written or 30 blog posts. It's like, that's a goal that you're working towards that has purpose and meaning and that actually gives you a reason to do the thing every day. Yeah, I just think having these things in the calendar that really rally you to show up as your best self can be a really good way to get back on track or to stay on track.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, 2 more questions. So I saw that you visited the acquisition.com headquarters. So Alex Hermosi, what took you there and what stood out to you about that environment, about being in that environment?
Okay, so what took me there is kind of funny. One of my best friends lives in Calgary and she was about to have her second baby. And she was like, Kels, I want to do something. I want to travel. I want to go to a business conference with you. This is the one I'm thinking. Do you want to come with me? And I was like, wait, what? I don't know. I don't want to go to the Alex Hormozi conference. Like, I like him, but I'm not obsessed. And I said no initially. And then I was like, wait, this is a chance for me to hang out with one of my besties who's super pregnant right now and to have some time to like chat about business and what we want out of life and to chat about our families. And I hadn't seen her in over a year. So that's what brought me there. So kind of funny. After my initial no, I think it was like 48 hours later that I was chatting with someone and they were like, you should go. And I was like, yeah, I should. So ended up applying and going. What stood out to me? Yeah, I mean, anyone who follows Alex Hormozi, I feel like he's a very polarizing online figure. But you can't deny he's very blunt. He tells it like it is and he delivers practical, really action-oriented business advice. And I love that style of coaching. Like, I don't want fluff. I just want you to tell me what to do. And so I knew that if I went, it would be a bunch of people who were straight shooters and who kind of saw things in a bit more of a black and white way, which is not necessarily the way that I'm saying I like to run my business because I am a woman. I also have an intuition. I have feelings and hormones and whatever. We could talk all day about like the different situations we find ourselves in every day. But I love learning from different perspectives and people. And so I loved that the whole conference was very black and white, his team telling you exactly like it is. I remember getting some advice of like, just like someone looking at my Instagram from his team being like, okay, so you're talking about motherhood here, you're talking about marketing here, you're talking about mountain biking here. Like, if you want to grow on Instagram, you're going to have to define your niche. Like, stop posting about all this other stuff. And like, you know, from one perspective, they were right. And from the other perspective, I'm like, that's not why I do Instagram. Like, it's not a lead generator for me. I'm not looking to grow at massive quantities. So yeah, I would say I loved that it was very straight to the point business advice that works very well.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I agree totally. Different way of teaching, coaching, being, but everyone's perspective, you know, when you put it all together, it's so fascinating to learn. So, yeah.
Totally. Yeah. So
Very
I would
cool.
highly recommend it to anyone who's looking for like a really structured conference.
Awesome. The dog, sorry. So, okay, lastly, you say you believe that women can have a relaxed, fulfilling life and make great money. So, for the mom listening who feels like she's choosing between peace and then her ambition, what do you want her to know?
Such a great question, and something I feel very passionate about. And I would say the starting point for any mom who's trying to struggle or trying to balance between peace, ambition, where do I spend my time, is to first do a time study. And I know that sounds really basic, kind of boring, but I think so many of us, we struggle with like, am I doing enough? And am I protecting my peace versus rewarding my ambitious side? And we don't actually see like where is the majority of my time going? Am I doing anything to build peace into my life? Am I working really hard and I'm just not giving myself credit for it? And so for most clients that I work with, I actually start them on a time study where they actually track every 15 minutes of what they're doing for an entire week. And then we go through every time block that they've gone through in a week and we assign a category. And I call this the leak method, LEAK. So we say, do you need to lose it? So something that you need to stop doing, like scrolling 3 hours a day, lose it because you're ambitious and you could use those 3 hours to like write the book that you've been wanting to write. So the leak method, L is lose it, E is ease it. So, okay, you go to Costco 3 hours a week. By the time you drive, get the groceries, unpack, what if you ordered them for delivery? Ease that burden on yourself so that you can have an hour in the sauna. Because a lot of moms would tell me, I don't have time to go to the yoga studio. I don't have time to read my book for 20 minutes. Well, I just did this with my sister and she spends about 6 hours a week going to the grocery store and back. I'm like, you can do click and collect for $1. $1. And I know she has an extra dollar per week to spend on this. So where can you ease it? Assign it. So I think a lot of us, we don't ask for help and then we feel overwhelmed, myself included. A lot of these things can be assigned, whether it's the cleaning, whether it's the editing of your podcast that's taking you 6 hours a week, posting on social media, doing your QuickBooks and bookkeeping. Can you assign something to free up space? And then the K in the time leak method is keep it. So if it's something you love that's either giving you peace or helping you feel ambitious or whatever, I'll never tell someone like stop doing that thing that is obviously very rewarding to you. So some things get assigned.
I love that leak method. Yeah, that's awesome. And where you can buy back your time that doesn't necessarily cost a lot of money, like you said, the dollar.
Totally.
Yeah. Instacart. Yeah. It's my friend, especially for Costco. Cause I know when I go to Costco, it's going to take time. It's going to be stressful and I usually will spend more money. So I may as well do it on Instacart. And then it takes me 2 hours to put it away here, but I've saved 2 hours going.
Absolutely. And it's so funny because I know that our tendency sometimes is to be like, well, I just have to do this. Or, you know, I love going to the store. Or we make these excuses. And I was that person with grocery shopping. I told myself I loved it. It was me time. Walked around the store. But like, it's one of those things that I'm like, is this a high value task in my very busy, full life? And it feels good to offload and to find little solutions that give you your freedom back in many ways. So yeah, that's the leak method. And I have a freebie on my website that people can download.
Well, thank you for your time. What are you up to right now? Where can people find you? I know that you're doing a few speaking engagements. So yeah, let us have it.
Yeah. Oh, this has been so fun. And I love chatting about all the same topics that you love to talk about too. So this has been a blast. Yeah, everyone can find me at kelseyreidl.com. I'm on Instagram at Kelsey Reidl. I host events here in Ontario. So for any of your Ontario-based listeners, they can find all upcoming events on my website.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I'll link everything in the show notes as well, but appreciate your time and our conversation.
Awesome. Thanks, Britt.
Thanks so much for tuning in today. If today's conversation resonated, then ask yourself what one small action you can take from it. Because momentum isn't built in big dramatic moments. It's built in a quiet follow through, the honest choices, and the decision you make when no one's watching. If you loved this episode, the best way to support the show is to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, you don't have to choose between showing up for your life and going after your potential. This is your permission to stop playing small. I'll see you next time.